It's live on Facebook. Welcome to our Facebook listeners on the Chips and Salsa show. We're going to be going on live with our Facebook and YouTube in about, looks like 10 more minutes. So you're going to be getting behind the scenes. We might say a couple of things and just only you, a YouTube world, know. So, okay.
You're special.
You're special.
Yeah.
And we're doing it at 5 o'clock usually every day because we're trying to get the East Coast listeners to follow us, and our Chicago listeners, and New York listeners, and all the other listeners.
And we appreciate you chipsters that do that.
It's not like tonight's Area C basketball game. I have to stay up. It doesn't start till 9, so I'm not going to be done till 11 o'clock tonight.
Good. Good. We have with us, and we'll get more formally into the show, but our guest tonight is TJ Shope. He is House Representative here in Arizona. And man, he's already going to be termed out. He's going to run for senator.
It's the one place because we have term limits here, and you can be retired at age 35 from one chamber.
He's a young whippersnapper. I've known TJ for a while, but man, you still have a lot of political stuff you can do.
This is true, and it's all for good. And that's the best part.
And we like that. We like that. Let's see, it's 4:51. We got a lot of things to talk about. But one of the things, too, if you're watching, even if you are not watching from Arizona, you might think, well, why do I want to watch this? Because Arizona, people are so focused on it. The left is trying to move in here and take us over and make us blue. And we're fighting, man. We're fighting to stay red, very red. And, DJ, we're just like,
we have a one-seat majority. We have a 31-29 split in the House, and it makes things very difficult. That means if somebody gets sick, as we've had the last couple of days, we've had one member who's been ill who has made it in for floor session only, just to at least help us keep the majority. And we've had another member who's lost his mother yesterday, Mr. Roberts. And so, yeah, those little things, which aren't little, obviously, but one hiccup and you are all of a sudden at a 30-29, and you can't pass anything unless you have 31 votes.
And you've been there long enough that you've seen, because in Arizona, we've always had a healthy majority. Yes. So we really, it's still, you still got to pass things. It's not like you don't have to do anything, but at least you were confident that most people would be on the right. But that isn't the case anymore.
And for some of our members, it allowed some of our members that may have been in like swing districts before to say, you know what, maybe you can't vote for this, and we understand because it's more important for us to keep your seat and keep a bigger majority. So maybe you have to vote a little bit more like your district looks. There's none of that anymore. We need everybody. Gotta have everybody.
And I understand that, and sometimes that's hard to explain to people because they'll be like, well, this certain representative, why didn't they vote this way? And it's hard to explain, but you've got to represent your district.
Right.
And if you want to keep...
It doesn't do us any good if we're not in the majority.
Exactly. And we need to have that taken care of. I'm going to go ahead, George, and I have this on my phone. I want to tell you a little bit about TJ. I've known you now for, I think, since
longer than I've been in office, that's for sure.
Yeah, before you were in office. It's true, but it's always worn a wonderful cowboy hat. I almost didn't recognize you because he doesn't have this awesome cowboy hat on.
That's what I remember him with.
Yeah. See, right? Oh, here's a picture. Cowboy hat. Yeah. So I'm just going to tell folks a little bit about you. Let's see. Boy, you have a pretty good background. You have a business background. Shope's IGA Supermarket.
Right. Been in the family since 1952. When my dad's side moved to Arizona from Iowa. So been in the grocery business since then. And frankly, it's one of those great Arizona stories. It's a time where you could leave Iowa, you had nothing. They moved to Coolidge, started a business. It failed. He had to go work driving a truck for a produce company back in the old days when they had the warehouses south of the railroad tracks here in downtown Phoenix. Drove produce to different businesses, earned enough money, was able to start his second go around, and that's what we've been in ever since.
Wow, it's amazing. And then you also have, just looking here, I'm taking this directly from your little bio. I'll give a plug to the Green Books. You know,
The Green Books, yes.
they have little tiny bios of
That's
all of
right.
our legislators. So this says you're single, but he's
Not,
engaged.
I'm engaged.
He's engaged. Congratulations.
You bet, you bet.
Guys set a date yet?
We're working on it, looking at the fall of this year, and
Right
can't
after
wait.
you get elected.
Can't wait, yeah, exactly. Can't wait. It'll be fun.
That's a good plan. Let's see what else we can tell them about you. You political experience includes member Coolidge Unified School District Governing Boards. You've served on a school board.
I have. I still am. I'm in the final 11 months of my third term, so I'm not counting or anything, but I only have 11 meetings to go. So
TJ, I always try to plug the school board because that's one thing in Republicans.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I tell you what, if you're watching out there and you're looking for a place to like wet your feet, get involved, you don't want to just be on some sort of like a planning commission or something like that, which is also good. Like you live in a city, especially it's a lot easier in some of our smaller cities, I think, around the state, to get involved in like a planning and zoning committee or things like that. You really are on the ground floor of what's going on in your community, and school board for a lot of folks is a good first step. It is, a place where you can go and you learn all kinds of things. You learn everything from the parliamentary procedure of how to do things to working with a budget and making that balance and having to say yes to some things within that budget and no to others whenever both of them may be good. And sometimes that is a problem. Now, obviously, we can always, for the most part, all of us agree on what the bad stuff is. We've seen it in Chandler and everything like that over the last few weeks, and the controversies down there. But sometimes, I mean, you really, your graduation into elective office is whenever you're trying to choose between two good things, and oftentimes two good constituencies or groups of people that you like. And that's usually the first graduation whenever you know that you're going to let somebody down, and how you handle that relationship and rebuild that relationship afterwards.
Well, it's certainly been a good experience, and I'm always trying to push that because I don't think enough Republicans are at
By
that level.
far, we need more. By far, we need more. And I'll tell you what, if you look at a Democratic bench on the other side of the aisle, the colleagues that I have on the other side of the aisle, many of them have come through those ranks. And it has helped. It has helped them feel as though they can own the education issue when the reality is they consistently vote no on the good things that we do.
Wow. Well, and I'll meet people and they're from the left and they'll say, "Oh, you're a Republican. You don't care about education." I'm like, "I don't."
Yeah.
I mean, they just make that assumption. I actually worked at Osborne Middle School. I was the building secretary for a year. And if you want to just even go to a governing board meeting, okay? If you don't have time to serve or run, at least go to one meeting because it's so educational.
It is, and oftentimes nobody goes. Only the people that are paid to be there are there, like your administrators and your principals and things like that. And folks who all have a good role, they're all doing what they're paid to do, but oftentimes members of the public are just too busy with regular life.
Right, and board members are not paid.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, that's and legislators are paid just a little bit more, but that's
yeah, you actually just a little bit more. Hey, we're gonna get ready to go live on Facebook, and what's it say? Not on Facebook. What? What? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just figured as long as we're here, I just would say a little bit about him and have some discussion. Sorry, I thought you were telling me something about Facebook. I'm like, what? What's going on? We're going to get ready to go on Facebook here in just a minute, and I'm just kind of watching things because we were supposed to have another guest, but I don't see anything here that he's texted me, so I guess we're just not going to worry about that.
Yep.
All right, so whenever you're ready, Sarah, we can do that. Okay. Hey, guess what? It's time for the Chips and Salsa Show. I'm Alice Lara with
Don Jorge Alacran.
We are here for our Thursday night edition of the Chips and Salsa Show. Welcome, Chipsters. Oh, I just got a notification. Chips and Salsa is live now.
Well, there you go.
We have a really fantastic guest we're just going to get to in just a moment. We have the wonderful Arizona House Representative TJ Shope. I'm going to spell your name for me because you might say, how do you spell that? S-H-O-P-E.
Or as I say, hope with an S in front.
Oh, I like that. Hope with an S in front. And he's going to talk to us about a lot of cool stuff. But I just want to remind you, if you're watching, wherever you're watching from Facebook, please share us. And you can share us to your profile on Facebook, or you can also go to YouTube and watch us there. Or if you have different groups or pages, we would love if you shared it too. I also want to give a shout out to my great niece, Super Sarah, behind the camera. Yay, Sarah! Doing a great job as always. She goes to Grand Canyon University, and we like to ask her about education stuff too. And she's getting her, kind of dumping her into the political world. So we always like to see if she has any thoughts, and she has good questions too. We do that. Alrighty, well, if you are watching us on YouTube, I'm going to continue the conversation. We have cocotazos coming up. We have whole enchiladas. We're going to do a Fast and Furious with TJ because he's got to leave at 5:30 because he's busy.
He's moving.
It's election time.
Yep.
It's
They're
always
everywhere.
election
Campaign
time. Is it
time.
never election time?
And they're everywhere. They're everywhere. He's everywhere. So
That's right.
Yeah.
if you miss him on our Facebook, catch him at one of the rallies, at one of the meetings that they have scheduled, and go to his site, his
Facebook side.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to Facebook and it's TJ Show, and make sure you're on the political side. It's this T.J. Show, and on Twitter I'm at TJ Show 4AZ, the actual word spelled out 4, as well as on Instagram. So you can find me on there too. And I always try to post of what we're doing on a daily basis, whether it's meeting kids, like I met some kids from FFA today, to dropping bills like the bill I think we're going to talk about here in a little bit.
We are going to talk about that bill. So what I'm going to do, because it'll be much more interesting if it comes from you, why don't you give the audience your 2-minute bio on yourself and your fascinating Arizona life?
Absolutely. So I am still, after 7 years, now my 8th session, the youngest Republican legislator in the legislature. Yeah, I have Tyler Pace beat by a little bit. And I am in my final term in the State House, where I serve Speaker Bowers as his Speaker Pro Tem of the House, which means if you're ever watching the Capitol on TV, if you have Cox Cable, it's on channel 123, or if you go to azleg.gov. A lot of people don't know, but you can literally watch everything that's going on at the Capitol. If you go to azleg.gov, and you can follow a link to the AZ Capitol TV, and you can see the committee work that we do. You can watch us in caucus. You can watch the other guys in caucus too if you want to. You can, and sometimes it's actually good to watch those guys. We have interns that watch them to learn what their arguments are against some of our bills that we have, so that way we are better prepared on the floor for their arguments. And you can go and watch us on the floor, where you'll probably see me most often sitting in the speaker's chair. Speaker Bowers enjoys roaming the room, taking meetings while we're on the floor, and lets me run the action a lot of the time. But I was born in Florence, so just an hour south of Phoenix.
A native Arizona.
Exactly, and I'm getting married to a native Arizonan as well. That's awesome as well. So I grew up in Coolidge, graduated from Coolidge High School in 2003, went to Central Arizona College, graduated there in 2005, and finished up, we're my maroon and gold today because we're playing UCLA tonight.
Ooh, very nice.
And finished up there in 2008. I loved ASU so much that I spent an extra year there. But we decided to run for office. We had an open seat in my district after redistricting. And it was, believe it or not, a district where Republicans were outnumbered by Democrats by 9.5 percentage points. I won it by less than 1% in my first race. Turned that 9.5 around, and with each election, won it by a wider margin. Last year by 7 points, and it's been great. This is a district that, even though, if you know anything about the Arizona outside of Phoenix, what I like to call real Arizona, it may be registered Democrat, but they're culturally conservative, and they have been voting for Republicans since Ronald Reagan and others.
People don't know that.
They really don't. If you look back, there was a time when Pinal County was around 80% registered Democrat, and they were voting for Ronald Reagan.
Wow.
It's just a different type of Aggie, Dem and such. And so that helped me out a lot. President Trump won our legislative district, even though we were still outnumbered in registration by a couple percentage points. He won it by 15.5 points.
Is that
so
right?
we look forward to doubling down to make sure not only that we get elected or reelected or whatever, like myself, but that we're helping Republicans down the ballot, and then we are delivering a huge number for President Trump, so he can help. We can actually help him win Arizona.
Absolutely.
As a whole.
And we
So-
were talking earlier on YouTube, because we start YouTube up a little bit earlier if you ever want to do that, like our Facebook chipsters. But we're wanting to keep Arizona red, and it's going to be, you know what, we're going to be warriors, and I think what's happening on the national level is going to help us.
Right, and I think that what a lot of people don't recognize is that we are. I get to do a lot of things in the summertime. We're not in session, as part of the leadership role that I have, and especially on the fundraising side for our political action committee that supports the legislature. The state party does a great job, and if you have the means to contribute to the state party, I would encourage you to do so, because they're helping Republicans up and down the ballot, right? But for our purposes at the legislature, we have our own group that we go out and we crisscross the country, and I hate to say that we've been very successful, for the only reason being is because people are genuinely worried about Arizona.
Yeah,
And
there's cause to be
that's the
worried.
reason why we've been very successful so far. I was at a Republican Legislative Campaign Committee event in Colorado, people from across the country, and this is before last November's election in Virginia, where we unfortunately suffered some losses that cost us the Commonwealth's House. And the person there is like, look, Arizona's number 2 behind Virginia. And I was like, yeah, well, Virginia's like next month. He's like, so what do you think Arizona's going to be after Virginia's done? Number 1.
Oh, number 1, yeah.
And so, look, the influx, we are better today in Arizona, especially on the job front and on the earnings front, than almost any time in the state's history. Unfortunately, we've imported a lot of these new businesses and others from the tech sector, which are great paying jobs that have helped a lot of folks out. A lot of the people that they've imported with them are from California.
Yeah.
And they have willingly left California to flee.
Who can blame them?
Exactly. Who can blame them? I have 2 sisters in California. I love them very much. They're very left of center. I wouldn't be disappointed if they stayed there. At least I have a good place to visit whenever
There you
I
go.
go over there.
There you go.
But people have brought their ideas, the same ideas that has led California to the place that it's in now. And I think we're going to talk maybe about one of the, I like to call them the dirty dozen, the wacky bills that are out there that are sponsored by the other side, because I think it's very important to let listeners and viewers know. And when I'm out at PC meetings or different clubs and stuff, this is the reality, the alternate reality that exists. If we are the gatekeepers of keeping Arizona, moving in the right direction. And the alternate reality are some really awful things that are out there.
Well, and TJ, just a last session, I remember there was an abortion bill that came up, and
it was an infanticide bill. It was
infanticide bill.
not
Yeah,
an
you know what?
abortion bill.
That's-
It was an
that's more proper.
infanticide bill. Yeah.
And the right was criticized for actually hearing it, but it's because the left was fearful, because they knew it would come out in the open. And it was such good strategy because it revealed themselves
Right.
and revealed it. So I think that's what you're talking about
Well,
here.
I think so. I mean, we actually had to do a little bit of work to make sure that our own friends on our side of the issue knew that we were doing this, because we wanted to expose, in essence, the other side and what they were doing, and we were able to do that. We brought the bill up. It had, I think, over 15 co-sponsors. It was a Planned Parenthood bill, a stock bill.
It was heavily
And if you
sponsored,
look at,
you're
if you
right.
read the Arizona Republic, they always talk about model legislation and all this stuff, bill factories and the fear mongering about ALEC and all this stuff. Well, the left has their own things, and Planned Parenthood has run a similar bill, and in some states like New York and others have passed it. And so obviously we had a former, I believe she was a former deputy exec director of Planned Parenthood in Arizona, who is now a member of the legislature, and she dropped a bill that was an infanticide bill, and we decided, you know what, maybe we need to let our own folks know that this is the alternate reality that exists in this state if we're not in charge. And it was, you would have thought we had the protest from the other side over us hearing this, and our response was, you sponsored the bill.
Sponsored it. Mm-hmm.
You're not upset because you don't want this. You're upset because we've exposed this before you're ready to expose it.
And I watched that hearing. I mean, and then it still even carries over. If you watched last night,
Mhm.
the State of the
Oh,
Union
yeah,
speech,
yeah.
and when the president was talking about getting rid of third-term
Mhm.
abortion, and that whole side stayed sitting
Right.
down.
Mayor Pete today, I saw it on Twitter earlier. Mayor Pete, who's apparently the moderate in the
Supposed to be.
Supposedly, even though he wants to abolish the Electoral College, he wants to do all this other stuff, he would not commit to keeping a ban on abortion after a child is born before it takes its first breath. And I was flabbergasted. I mean, there was a silence. It was actually Meghan McCain, of all people, who asked him the question on The View. I saw it on Twitter earlier. So if you haven't seen it, it's out there. The Federalist, I think, had a clip of it on Twitter, and you can go to their website. But unbelievable that, the quote-unquote moderate. The fact of the matter is that the most moderate member of the entire other caucus is still going to vote for those things.
In the end, yeah, because they won't vote for our
They
side.
will not.
Mhm.
They will not vote with us, and we saw it today. We had a bill. Mr. Peterson, our majority leader from Gilbert. If we have any folks out in Gilbert that are listening in Queen Creek, you have an excellent trio in Mr. Grantham, Peterson, and Farnsworth. They had Mr. Peterson's bill that would have backed the state out of doing, the permitting on the portion of the border with a wall. That they'd still have to follow all the federal contract rules and regulations. We just said, look, if that's good enough for the feds, we want to get this done. We don't want the state or local government standing in the way. And it passed on a 31-29 vote. They still have to go through all the federal things, but not a single member of the Democratic caucus could come on and support that. In fact, we were told today that the 29 no votes were the only ones that supported the friendship between Arizona and Mexico by the minority leader today. So this is what we have.
You're
This is
never
what we
bored
deal
down
with.
there, right?
We're never bored,
It's
which is
always-
obviously always news, to half my family, because they listen to the media. I mean, I may be a monster to them, but it's never a boring day. There's always, I call it a meltdown every day or every other day, where somebody throws a tantrum or something like that. But it's an interesting place. It's
Well,
always
before
an
I get
interesting
into
place.
this next one, because I want to
Yeah.
ask you about this sanctuary
How many
deal.
years?
This is my 8th session.
I was going to ask you what drove you into politics or in politics? I know that you were a political junkie, maybe. to
Yeah,
start.
absolutely, and that's where you and I first met,
Mhm.
Alice. Is for everyone at home. We were both we met through the Latino Republicans here, and always had I would consider a friendship, even though we didn't see each other every
Yeah.
day. We followed each other
Right.
on the early days of Facebook and things like that. And got involved. I worked on a few campaigns. In fact, for those of you who know Sylvia Allen, for example, who the very first campaign I worked on was for her brother, who was running for Congress back in 2002. A gentleman named Louis Tenney, who has since left us. But so I started doing that. I got a little bit of a head start. My dad was a mayor in Coolidge for 16 years. And there's a photo that he still has in his office of he and Fife Symington walking in a parade, and I'm walking along holding a Fife Symington for governor sign.
How sweet.
You
You should blow that up and put it in your
know.
office.
I've thought about it. I need to go find it so that way I can do that.
You
and,
have a
and then
history.
I could probably go get Fife to sign it too. That'd be
Yeah,
even
that'd
better.
be
But
cool.
yeah.
Or recreate the picture.
Exactly. That'd be great.
That'd be funny.
But no, so I got involved. We started a college Republicans club on campus at Central Arizona when I was there. I graduated from there, went to Arizona State, and became president of the College Republicans at ASU. We had a fantastic club there. We had a lot of always good speakers. And at the time, to be honest, I don't think it was like it is today, where sure, we'd have our detractors and things like that, but we would have speakers, and they wouldn't be, the cancel crew wouldn't come through and start shouting
Could
and
actually have speakers,
and do things. We would have speakers come in, and sometimes the young Democrats on campus would come, and everybody was fairly respectful. I mean, things have changed. I mean, it's gotten so much more toxic.
And it wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't
It
that
really
long
wasn't.
ago at all. I'm talking 10 to 12 years. In that amount of time, things have radically changed. And the gamesmanship and anywhere from, like we saw last night, or ripping the State of the Union afterwards. I mean, by the way, I want to thank Nancy Pelosi for doing that, because that will probably be in every swing district ad. They will probably, if I don't know, I'm not an elections guy. I just run for office, but if I was running a campaign for a swing district person, I would have the names of, for example, the Tuskegee Airmen, the veteran that came back to greet his family, all these folks. I'd make mention, and then just have a image of Pelosi ripping that up, and that's
Have you seen that?
that's
They
who
actually
she's
have
ripping
that on
up.
Facebook.
I haven't seen
there's
that,
a
so
picture,
yeah,
like
okay.
a picture
Oh
frame
yeah, I did.
of her
I did.
like that. They have all the different things.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but I think the visual of it is just going to be spectacular. She is
agree.
truly the gift that keeps on giving.
You are absolutely right about that, boy. Let me tell you. All right, I want to get into this bill because I'm so excited. So let me just read a little
Go
bit
for
about
it.
this,
Go
okay?
for it.
So this is Phoenix AP. Oh, by the way, Sarah, if you have a question, because Sarah represents, what is it? What are you? Gen Z, yeah.
Yeah.
She's a Zoomer. Yeah.
And
I'm a boomer.
I'm a millennial,
She's a boomer.
so yeah.
Got everything represented here.
Exactly.
But if there's something that you would like to ask TJ, just jump in and do so. So it's already illegal under state law, but Republicans in Arizona in the legislature want voters to enshrine a ban on sanctuary city policies in the state constitution. The constitutional amendment introduced Wednesday by Republican Representative TJ Sho is backed by the governor, Doug Ducey. If it passes the House and Senate, it will be placed on the November ballot. Sanctuary city policies generally bar police from cooperating with federal immigration efforts. So I'm just going to give you that little intro because I saw that and I was like, yeah, we're going to have TJ on, right on.
Look, here's the deal. I told somebody yesterday that, to me, I know what the left is going to want to do with this. They're going to want to make this all about how mean-spirited Republicans are towards immigrants, etc., what have you. The reality is, this is a law enforcement communication bill.
That's
End of
a great
story.
way to put it.
I am a product. I was a junior in high school when 9/11 happened. One of the things that we found in the commission afterwards that was created to explore what happened afterwards was our law enforcement community, in some instances, were barred from speaking to each other. And
Just doesn't make
bad
any
things
sense.
happen when that is going on. So we can go back a few months ago in Tucson, and this is important because it is illegal, and that's what you're going to hear of a lot over the next several weeks is, well, it's already illegal. Why do we need to do this? And I've heard it. I've had constituents of mine reach out to me and say, why are we wasting our time doing this? And well, they're never going to support it anyway. But the reality, and I tell them, look, Tucson could have set up a legal fight where a judge would have been in charge of deciding whether or not that statute was constitutional or not. So, current statute says that there cannot be any sanctuary cities in Arizona. Tucson is what's known as a charter city. And charter cities have a little bit more authority. Tempe's one, Phoenix, a handful of other, I think there's 17 or 18 in the state. And they have a little bit more authority on different things as far as passing city laws and such. They could have declared themselves through a vote of the people a sanctuary city. Now, it would have been sued over because it would have been in direct conflict with state statute. But do we really want a judge and then an appeals court and the state Supreme Court to have to decide that? We don't know what the result of that's going to be. So by enshrining it in the state constitution And this and to let folks know how this works, it would take 31 votes in the House, 16 votes in the Senate, and it would just be transmitted to the Secretary of State's office to be put on the ballot in November for you to decide what you want. In Tucson, they said no to becoming a sanctuary city with about 75% of the vote voting no. And that's in Tucson.
And that was Tucson, who's
Yes,
known as a
which
very
is
liberal
very
city.
progressive, very liberal city voting no. We looked at it and said, you know what? That's great that they voted no. But when I sat down with the governor's staff and others in our law enforcement community, the thing was always on repeat. Well, what if somebody says yes at some point? What if Bisbee or tomorrow decides to say yes? And it turns into this thing where law enforcement is the one that's handcuffed, not the criminals. And let's keep in mind, the only time that sanctuary policy would come into play is if you have committed or have done some other sort of crime. You're not going, we are not, law enforcement in no way, shape, or form is going to be going up and down the street and just trying to pick people off and asking, and this is what I've already heard, asking for people's papers and things like that. That's not what this is. This is allowing somebody, if they come in contact with you, you've committed some sort of crime, and lo and behold, you are also in the country illegally, and we can now contact CBP in addition to whatever crime that you have to actually be charged with in Arizona. And a lot of folks don't understand. We don't just hand folks over to CBP. You do get charged in Arizona, and generally on the back end, Department of Corrections would then turn over to Customs and Border Protection for deportation. So, look, this is not going to do anything but enshrine in the Constitution what is already state law. But when that happens, the only way you can overturn it is by a subsequent vote of the people. So this is not something that should, God forbid, Arizona turn blue, somehow, which we're all fighting to make sure it doesn't happen. But it's not like the next legislature or a Democratic governor down the way is going to be able to say, all right, well, we want to repeal that. No, it'll be in the Constitution.
I think this is the right way to do it, because
Absolutely.
It starts in the legislature, so you're doing it right, you're setting it up right, getting the language good and everything, and then by getting the stamp of approval
Right.
from, and like I say, in the Constitution. So I'm just, way to do it.
You bet. And
I'm going to give you a whole enchilada. We got to put it on there.
Yes.
We got to put you as a nominee, a whole enchilada.
I got to tell you, real quickly, for those of you at home, if you're interested in that, if you want, a lot of people ask me, how do you make a difference? How do you get involved in what's going on at the Capitol? I need your help. I would like this because if the polling does show that the overwhelming majority of Arizonans support this. They wouldn't have
What
voted
is
that
that?
way in Tucson,
Have
right?
we done actual polls?
We
What can
we
you
have
say?
some. We know it's a substantial majority in the state that do.
Over
and we
60%?
can look at Tucson, for example,
Yeah.
as 75% said they did not want to become a sanctuary city, whatever it was. But we need your help. We need your help to make sure, first off, that all of our Republican colleagues, which I believe all of them are in support, and to make sure that they understand that you support them. Because a lot of times, the only times people call our offices is whenever they're mad about something, right? But this is a great opportunity for everybody at home to call up and say, I love what you're doing. I want you to vote for this, and I will support you 100% if you do.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I've heard other legislators have come on and they say, we do pay attention.
Right,
The
we do.
emails, the phone
We do.
calls, and all that. We do, because then someone's actually listening. And
Exactly.
they need your support. You're absolutely right.
And I would encourage you, to be respectful if you call members of the other side. Look, it's not easy being down there. I mean, it's the only people that understand what we go through on a daily basis for the $24,000 a year we get paid is everybody that we serve with. So I always tell folks, look, even if you don't agree with somebody, treat them the way you want to be treated. You can get your point across while being respectful. Call up our Democratic colleagues as well and say, look, I am a constituent of yours. I want you to vote for this. I, would appreciate that, etc. Thank you, and what have you. We need them to know that this is widely supported in their districts as well.
Yeah, because they represent you. You elected them.
Right.
You're really the bosses. We're the bosses to do that.
Absolutely.
And you have a real good one right here. TJ's just been done a great job. If somebody wants to help you on your campaign,
Absolutely,
what
they
should
can go.
do?
They can go ahead and do a couple things. They can go ahead and reach out to me at my campaign email. And this is a big thing. I know, and it's happened to me. It happens to a lot of our colleagues. We can't do any campaign stuff on our state legislative accounts, right? So we have to keep all that separate. So you can contact me for issues at tshope@azleg.gov. And then if you want to talk to me about campaign stuff, you can contact me at tj@tjshope.com.
That's an easy one.
Exactly. So, and then I'm very active on Twitter. I'm at TJ4Arizona, or TJ Shope for Arizona, excuse me, at TJ Shope for Arizona. And on Facebook, you can find me. You just have to search TJ Shope, and I'll have a check mark. That's the one that you're looking for. So, and we did a video yesterday. If you can go find it, and the governor's office did a great job of retweeting all that stuff, and I put it up on my Facebook. If you want to go on to my Facebook page and share, I have the video of dropping the bill, and we have the press release that followed that has quotes from sheriffs, has quotes from county's attorney all around the state, and mayors and things like that in support of this. So go on there, share it with your friends, and let's make sure. Look, we've got a lot of positive things to talk about, and I think this is one of them.
Do you have bilingual people that answer the phone too?
We can, yes, absolutely,
So
and
si
that's
quieren,
very
pueden
important.
llamar en español y expresar sus ideas en español, porque la oficina de él sí habla
¿Hablas español?
también.
Muy poquito, yeah, I'm trying to get better. In my house, and this is the funny thing, I was talking about it before we got on to the Facebook Live, I think, but my family's from Mexico. Mom's from Nogales, and I've got a lot of family still down in Guaymas and such, and my mom, my Nana is
Your Nana.
my Nana and
He's
my
got a
mom.
Nana.
Exactly, and she runs the show. I can tell you, she's like 5 feet of fury. But in our house growing up, it was more or less code talk between my mom and my Nana, so that way my dad and I didn't know what was going on or what we were going to be doing that evening, so or what was for dinner and what have you. So I didn't get it as well, but I'm working on it, and I made a pledge to some folks. I was on a trade mission down to DF in Mexico City that I would get on the wagon and try to make sure that I was able to speak to them in Spanish the
You
next
just need
time I
some
was
immersion.
there. Absolutely.
And you probably understand.
Well, after
quite
about
a
4
bit.
days of being in Mexico City, I was like, I don't even need the earpiece anymore.
Yeah.
We're good to go. We were good to go.
Nice,
So-
nice. I want to take just a minute, and someone who's thinking about running for office,
Oh, yeah.
how would you advise them?
I would say this: if you think you want to run for office, you maybe don't think it's your time yet. I would get involved in somebody's campaign. Doesn't have to be mine. Doesn't have to be.
It could be though.
It could be if you want to, but find somebody who reflects your value. Go find out who your legislators are right now, and if you agree with what they're doing, say, hey, I like what you're doing. I want to help you out, whatever. Even if it's just as simple as standing outside of a polling place to hold or to pass stuff out, or make phone calls, or put signs up, whatever. I mean, we take any help we can get for the most part. A lot of it, even now, is so easy. I mean, you just sit at home on your phone. You see me put something out that you agree with, share it with your friends. Do stuff like that. If you could add a personal sentence or a couple sentences to it that just say, hey, I know this guy. He's a good guy, and we all need to get out and support him.
I saw him on Chips and Salsa show, and he was fantastic.
That's it, exactly. So those are the types of things that help. I would say if you want to run for office, definitely get involved in somebody's campaign first, because you don't want to make your first time doing it not knowing just being a deer in headlights. You don't want to show up to that first debate or first forum, and they ask you a question and you're just like,
oh no.
So, but I will also say, saying I don't know, I've always been one of those people where if I don't know something, I am always honest about I don't know.
I
I'm not sure.
appreciate that.
I'm really
I
not sure.
appreciate that.
And I remember the first handful of things that I went to, and I would say, you know, I'm not really sure I can answer that right now, but if you give me some time, I can go ahead and talk to some people or look it up or whatever, and I will get back to you. Don't be afraid to say I don't know.
Awesome. I know we have to say goodbye to you because you,
You
have
bet.
another deal to go to. Anything
bet.
else you want to say to our audience?
No, I
before
just
you
want to
leave?
say thanks for having me on.
Come back.
I will, and if you ever want to have some folks other than me come on, I will do what I can to make sure that happens and make sure that they pick up the phone and get on down here.
Great. Good.
Thank
All right.
you.
We like
Really
that.
appreciate
Okay.
it. You bet.
Take care.
All right.
Always
Thank
good.
you.
He's the man. He's
All
the
right.
man.
All
He's
right.
the man.
Thanks,
TJ
guys.
Show, Arizona House.
You bet.
Thanks so much. You can see you squeeze out here pretty good.
Yeah.
Take care, TJ.
Will do.
All right. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
great.
He's a great candidate, great representative of the people, and we need to stand behind him, stand behind that bill, and he's a great person, and it's a good person to know.
And just to let you know, so that was TJ Shope, and he is District 8, is it, George, I think it is? Hope I have that right, I should have said
I
that.
think it is,
The
'cause
Coolidge.
that's my district.
It's 8, yeah,
And I
okay.
saw it on a poster.
Super
Ah,
Sarah.
that's why, there you go. Hey, if you have a question, we can always ask him later and get that back to you, it's all good.
We'll put you on his campaign.
Yeah, you,
He's gonna run for Senate.
it's not bad. Yeah, we'll get a sign for you. And that's right, right on. We still have the rest of the show to go, a half-hour show. George, we got cocotazos, whole enchiladas.
Oh, we even put TJ Shook down there
And-
for our enchiladas, thanks to our great intern over here.
Yeah, way to rock that, Sarah.
Okay.
Hey, before we do that though, George, I want to say that we have the Levine barbecue this weekend. Are you going to join us out there?
No, I have
Saturday?
to work.
Oh, you have to work.
I have
Okay.
to work.
I'm going to be there probably in the afternoon. And there's also the Chinese festival is downtown,
What
and
time
that's
is the afternoon?
I don't know quite, but it's sometime in the afternoon. I think the barbecue runs from 10 to 6 o'clock in the evening.
Oh, okay.
And also on Saturday and Sunday is the Chinese festival, and that is going to be at Margaret T. Hance Park, which is about 3rd Street in the downtown area of Phoenix. So I'm not sure if I'm going to make that. I might make that one on Sunday.
So where's the Levine?
The Levine one, it's a Levine barbecue, and it's the Cesar Chavez Park,
Caesar Chavez.
which is 35th Avenue. I think it's close to like 35th Avenue and Southern. You've been to that park, remember?
Southern. Oh,
It's
yeah, yeah.
huge.
We did a rally there for
Yeah.
the Chips and Salsa show.
It's a
Well,
huge
it
park.
was something else, but the Chips and Salsa show was there.
Yeah, we had our little
We had our booth.
booth and
We were
everything,
giving
and our
out
banner.
Chips and Salsa.
Right on.
Some samples.
And I also want to say that we're going to have next week, we'll have here, I think at the ACTS, here on Thursday night, Valerie Roller is going to join us to talk about
She's
the
a
Second
great
Amendment
guest.
rally.
And she's going to be talking about the Second Amendment rally that
Mm-hmm.
she's about ready to explain to you. And Valerie Roller is so involved in it. She's always had invited us to that. Go ahead.
And that's February 15th is when that's going to happen. That's at the Capitol Lawn in Phoenix, here in Arizona, at 1700 West Washington. You know, if you live in the surrounding community, or maybe, hey, maybe you want to make an Arizona trip, this would be a great time
That one
to
I
come
will
visit.
be at. That's
And you'll be
exciting.
here.
Oh, yeah.
And I plan to be there as
I'm
well.
gonna see if we can get a booth there.
Oh.
I'm gonna work on it with Valerie and her people.
Sarah,
and
maybe
see-
you'd like to come hang out with us too. You might do that. That'd be fun.
We'll do a YouTube or a Facebook film from there and
Yeah, we could do some live stream from there.
live stream.
That's a great idea. Also, just College Republicans United, they're going to have Michelle Malkin on February 26th, and they've got on March 4th Mike Cernovich. We're also going to have on Tuesday, Nathan Duell is going to be our guest to talk about American heritage. And then on Wednesday next week, February 12th, at my women's club,
That's gonna be
the Greater Phoenix Republican Women, we're going to have Andrea Kadar, and she's going to talk about drugs. Marijuana's bad. Marijuana's bad. Marijuana, opioids, heroin, methamphetamine, cocaine, and fentanyl in Arizona. What is our Arizona solution? That's going to be Wednesday, February 12th, 5:30 p.m. check-in, 6:15 p.m. It's a dinner at the Blue Water Grill. If you'd like to go, it's $27, but if you make reservations, sorry, you got to pay for it because we order the food. And you can do that at rsvp@gprw1958.org. rsvp@gprw1958.org. And it's always a really good meeting. Are you gonna make that?
I'm gonna try.
Good. And then we have the Freedom Expo. Don't forget about that. This is gonna be really good. This is
That's
in
gonna be
March.
big, yeah.
And that's Saturday, March 7th. The keynote speaker on Friday is going to be Charlie Kirk. Saturday, Dorothy Notavice Woods. She's the Gold Star widow of Navy SEAL Tyrone Woods. Charlie Kirk, of course, is with Turning Point USA. And this is Friday, March 6th and Saturday, March 7th at the Scottsdale Plaza Resort. Our good buddy Jeff Utch, who's the constitutional expert, he'll be there. And James T. Harris, who is our good friend, he's going to be emceeing the event. If you can go, really, I encourage you to go. It's going to be great. And this is to benefit the SEAL Veterans Foundation. If you remember, our buddy Jeff, you haven't met Jeff yet, have you? Hopefully one of these days, because he's based in Tucson, he can come do our show. Jeff teaches Navy SEALs to swim. I mean, he's just an amazing, amazing guy. Our LD meeting also, Legislative District 27, that's going to be on Tuesday, the 11th. We start at 7 p.m. We have like a meet and greet at 6:30. It's around the University and 24th Street area. And you go to my page, you can contact me. I'll tell you all about it. And we keep announcing stuff here. George, also, I got to announce Saturday, March 14th. I know I'm kind of going all around anywhere. I need like a calendar. And then we'll just have it. And you know what? Before we start the show, we'll just get Sarah to focus in on it. But we're save the date. This is going to be Salute a Soldier 5K run or 1 mile walk Saturday, March 14th. And that's going to be at 9 a.m. at Freestone Park in Gilbert, 1045 East Juniper Road. And we got to get Kathy on. I'm working on getting her on to talk about this. This is great. It benefits our guys and gals. It's only $40 for the 5K run. It's $30 for the 5K run if you're military, and only $25 for a 1 mile walk. Anybody could do. Even I could do 1 mile. Could do that. I'm not a runner. I know your mom is, Sarah. She's a runner. She's done the runs before. Anything you want to announce before we get into our cocotazos? Do we have any birthday? Oh, you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that. My sister-in-law, so let's see, this would be your Auntie Marion. She has a birthday coming up on the 10th, so happy birthday, Marion. It's actually Mariana, but we call her Marion, yeah. So happy birthday. I hope you have a wonderful one. It was so cool to have TJ in studio, wasn't it?
I know, he is such a great representative of the people. He's been there,
I know he's termed out for representative.
8 terms, and
he's going to run for senator.
And that's the next step, is from there, from the House to Senate. And if you're a good representative, then the people want you to represent them, especially in the Senate, which a lot of things get done.
He's solid, and he's Arizona. He's
and like you said, if he doesn't know, he'll say, I don't know. But he'll look up the answer for you, and the next time he'll know the next time. But he goes everywhere and speaks, so he's going to be in a place near you. Go to his site, go to his website, and find out where he's going to be. Attend it. You'll enjoy his presentation. He's a good man. He comes from a good family, and he's been doing good service.
We've known him for a while.
To Arizona.
Yeah, we can vouch totally for him.
Wasn't he the one that attended the Paul Babu event that we had?
Yes, that's where I first met him.
That's where
and I got to meet his parents.
He had a cowboy hat.
I didn't recognize him without his cowboy hat. Yeah. Sarah, do you have anything from campus that you want to talk about? Any excitement that happened today, or anything to report? You're always welcome to. Not currently. Okay, so things are pretty mellow, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Was there any reaction about the president or impeachment?
Yeah, we kind of talked about it in my justice studies class, and everyone seemed to be in agreement that it was just not very professional of her. I would say, like, it's not something that you would want. I don't know. You just don't want to see like people who represent you, I guess.
You're talking about Ms. Pelosi?
Yeah, when she
turn up
ripped it up. I don't know. I wouldn't do it. I don't think that's professional. It's not.
Because it's supposed to be a decorum, isn't it? Like respect.
Yeah, and even if I don't know. There's a lot of political drama that I'm not really a part of, but I feel like even if you don't agree with someone that's just not the right time to like take a stand.
Right, because that's a solemn occasion.
Time and place, huh?
Yeah.
That's a solemn occasion, the State of the Union.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of respect in the House.
Mm-hmm.
You might not like the person that's, the president or something, but you listen, and you listen out of respect.
Yeah.
You don't have
Did you get to watch it, Sarah?
I did not. I don't have a TV. I just heard about it.
Yeah, it's probably good not to have a TV.
Yeah.
Of course, now you can, go back and you can watch it and whatever on your phone or your
Maybe I
computer.
will.
What did you think about the Super Bowl halftime?
I didn't watch it, but
Oh.
I was like, oh, Shakira, cool.
That's
Haven't
what a
heard
lot of
from her in a while.
young people
Yeah.
thought that they like Shakira. And,
Yeah.
J Lo. They like I guess the older people, some of the older people just thought.
But
Yeah,
you
I
you
was
as a
like-
dancer choreographer, Sarah actually as a choreographer does dance. Did you watch the routine at all?
I didn't, but I heard there was like some pole routines and stuff. But I mean, I think that stuff is in art. It has a negative connotation, but I feel like pole dancing is an art form. I enjoy it.
So your homework for the next time is to watch it, and then we can get your opinion.
Okay.
But yeah, because Sarah she's choreographed some dances. She's very good. One of these days I'm going to embarrass her and bring in some video, and they're going
Ooh.
she's very, very good. Awesome. All right, well, good. We need to have like a little Sarah segment, maybe. We can do that each week.
Yeah.
And then bring something maybe from campus, just like you did today, a reaction or whatever to something.
Okay.
And we'll sit you right down here, and then we'll have you do that. Awesome. So let's get to the cocotazos. Thank you for adding TJ up there for the whole enchiladas. We got a lot of them today, George. Woo,
I know.
dog it. So explain what a cocotazo is, George.
Cocotazo is when you say something out of line or something stupid, and your mom comes behind you and just kind of taps you on your head. That's a cocotazo, right on your noggin, and just kind of get your attention. It's kind of stupid.
And I just love that word because it sounds just like cocotazo.
Yeah, but it's right on the noggin right here.
So,
Cocotazo.
and then of course the Mexican version is chanclazo.
Chanclazo. That's when you throw the slipper across the room, or the elder throws the slipper across the room and catches somebody that's out of line or something. They were pretty good at
That's
that.
you with it. So I don't know if you got to catch what I posted, but our LD had a watch party. I didn't get to go to the watch party, but Jeremiah, who's our first vice chair, there's a picture of him, and he has some slippers, and they have Trump on them. Did you see that? See what he's holding them like this. So I made a joke that he just watched, the address of Nancy Pelosi rip it up. So he was going to give her a cocotazo with the slippers.
They've done it in other countries. They did it to Bush. They threw a shoe at him.
He ducked, man. He had good
And,
reactions.
And that's a form of the chanclazo, but over there in Iraq, their form, they throw shoes
Yeah,
at
that's
you.
a hardcore, man. So one of our first cocotazo nominees is Speaker Nancy Pelosi for ripping up
the
speech.
the State of the Union. That's ridiculous. That speech was that paper that she tore up is it's like it's a good.
It's an official document.
It's an official document, and there is a law that you can't destroy that kind of stuff. So,
I've seen that, and it hasn't been mentioned enough, though.
Yeah, I posted it. I posted it on our page.
Because there's actually there could be a fine, maybe even some jail time. I mean, nothing's going to probably
Or both.
happen to her.
Anybody
somebody
else that would have done it would have got in trouble.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then I put up some other cocotazos. I put both Biden and also that's Senator Biden, or actually Vice President, I guess you could call him. Biden used to be Vice President, who is running for office, and also AOC, your girlfriend,
Oh yeah.
because they are calling Rush Limbaugh a racist. Now, what they say whenever they do that, oh, he's such a racist, and he says racist things. Have they mentioned anything that he said racist?
They can't say it. I mean, it's like he's just an announcer, and he's a good one, and he doesn't say stuff racist.
I've been listening to Rush talk radio since the late '80s probably, and I can't think of any time. In fact, didn't Justice Clarence Thomas perform one of his wedding? I think.
I don't know, but I know that that's the fallback when you hate a person so much on the other side. You're a Democrat. The only way you could get to him is call him racist or call him xenophobic, when it's not true. show whether a person was a xenophobe or a racist.
Give us an
And
example.
You can't do that, and it's just hate. It's hate, you know. And we're a better country than that. And it's all started a few years back. This racial thing, it came back because race had gone away for a while until certain presidents came on, and they started pushing that racist thing. And it's wrong.
So do you, I can't even think if I know anybody who is a racist. Do
Martin
you know
Luther-
anybody who's really a racist, Sarah?
Martin Luther King was a Republican.
Not on
Abraham
purpose.
Lincoln was a Republican.
Mhm.
And you can't. They were against racism, and it's just people just don't understand. It's a lot of young people. They're being indoctrinated to think that people in our past were racist, and it's the other way around.
That's the word now to use, like you say. So those are 2 more cocotazos are nominated. Plus, I think we can all nominate the Iowa caucus. Did they ever get the results done?
Nope, they're still they're still working on the results, and now the Democratic chairman asked for a recount. So it may take months before we know what.
And that was
what the
Monday,
results are.
right, when they had
But
that?
we do know that Buttigieg and is the first
Buttigieg, Buttigieg,
Buttigieg,
we don't know how to say his name.
Buttigieg or whatever his name is.
Buttigieg.
Is
That's what James
in
T.
first
calls
place with 26.2 as of right now, and Bernie Sanders is in second place with 26.1. So it's very close.
Wow.
And then you got Elizabeth Warren way back in the.
Warren's third, right? She's in third
and
place.
then Biden's way back. In the
Biden's fourth.
Yeah, so it's
Klobuchar
changed.
place, but
The landscape has changed a lot in the Democratic Party,
and that's Iowa.
they just want to raise our taxes.
And so I also wanted to nominate. So I nominate that for a cocotazo. So another cocotazo nominee is Senator Romney.
Ay. He lost the presidential election. Now he's just bitter, and he's bitter. And like President Trump said, he's just a loser who lost the presidential election and just can't get over it.
And I tell you what, George, I got to meet Romney when he was running for president. That's what, like TJ said, we used to belong to Arizona Latino Republicans. And Aura actually was the name of the organization. And he was a very nice man, and I voted for him, and he still was better than the alternative at that point. But I don't know what's happened to him. There's been something, I think sometimes when you stay in politics too long, something happens to you. And things change, and it's really sad to me, George.
To me, when he was hiding the fact that he was Latino, actually his family's is.
Who was hiding the fact they're Latino? Romney?
Romney. He was. He didn't want to use his Latin background too much.
He's Latino?
Yeah, his family.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. How is he Latino?
His dad is Mexican.
His dad is a Mexican? You mean, is he actually Mexican, or did he live in Mexico?
His dad is from Mexico.
But is he of that heritage, or did he just live in Mexico? Because there was a Mormon element that used to live in Mexico. They weren't Mexican, just like the Pope was Italian living somewhere.
No, he was. What I understand, he was Mexican.
Oh, that's interesting. I have to look that up. I didn't know that. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So those are our cocotazos. Now, do you want to pick a winner? What about you, Sarah? Who would you give the super cocotazo to?
Nancy Pelosi's got to be the winner. Tearing up
Your
that.
girlfriend Pelosi? Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Sarah? What do you think?
I mean, I don't really know much about the other ones, so I guess I would give it to Nancy Pelosi too, just for being unprofessional.
For such,
I would say.
yes,
But,
being such a tantrum. She threw a tantrum in this.
Mine is a toss-up between the Iowa caucus and Nancy Pelosi, but I think Nancy has to have it, because to do that, she is the Speaker of the House, so that means she's third in line to be the President of the United States. And, come on. And it wasn't, somebody made a really good point. They said, well, if she was just reacting to the speech and really out of anger, you would have just really gotten there and done that. And she very deliberately, she had it planned, and she was ripping it up like this and tearing it like that. So we're all unanimous, huh? It's a unanimous Nancy. Speaker Pelosi gets the cocotazo for the night. We need like a music or something. Dun, da, da, da. Maybe we get Ruben Obed to write some theme music for that.
I know,
But-
that would be cool.
and now we go, so we don't want just negative stuff, right? We also have to have positive stuff. So we like what we call the whole enchiladas. So, first whole enchilada nominee is George.
POTUS being acquitted, and these people, they go, he's been impeached forever. No, he hasn't. He was voted for impeachment. It's the Senate that impeaches, and they acquitted him of both charges. It's not a real trial until it goes to the Senate, and so congratulations to our president. He keeps winning.
Keeps on winning, that's for sure. And then our number two whole enchilada.
Win.
Our number two whole enchilada nominee is Rush Limbaugh. And the reason is, George, because
he received the Presidential Medal of Honor.
yes, award him. And wasn't that cool when Melania put it on him?
She put it
Melania?
on him. He cried. I've never seen him get emotional like that. But Rush Limbaugh is a very. I followed him for many years. I respect his views, and there's things sometimes he might say that I don't like, but 99.99%, I like what he says.
It was very cool. It was very cool. And then he's gotten a lot of criticism about it, but I tell you what, Rush has done a service for our country.
Yes, he has.
And been, somewhere when you want the facts and the truth, and he's got great research, and she's so smart and dead on so much of the time. So then that's number two. At number three is 100-year-old Tuskegee Airman honored at the State of the Union after being promoted to Brigadier General. And this is Charles McGee. And if you watched it, it was so cool because it was his grandson, I think, that was next to him. And his grandson wants to be in the Space Force. It was very, very... And that guy, did you see it, Sarah? Did you see him? He looks fantastic. He's 100 years old. He is, and he stood up. I mean, and many times he stood up, I thought that was so awesome. So now he's Brigadier General. So salute to Charles McGee. And then we also wanted to give a whole enchilada to Arizona House Representative T.J. Shope, who was just here with us, for, sponsoring the sanctuary bill for the Constitution, for the Arizona Constitution. I think that's so smart.
Yep.
Such a smart thing to do.
And it's good. That's a good piece of legislation. We should all back it.
Absolutely. Okay, any more whole enchiladas that you want to promote or nominate? And I just want to tell you, Chipsters, if you have one that we missed, you can go to our Chips and Salsa Facebook site, and we try to post them during the week. But if we miss somebody or something, let us know, or post it, or message us. You can always email me. I have a very easy email, Alice Lara, my name, at hotmail.com. You can tell it's a real old one, alicelara@hotmail.com. And just we'll put it up on the list. Sarah helps us get that list together, and we're proud of it. So whole enchiladas, there's a lot of good ones there. All right, who are you going to vote for?
I would say POTUS being acquitted is number one, but Rush getting the Medal of Honor is also number one.
All good.
The 100-year-old
Charles McGee.
Charles McGee being there represented, and his son being there. But I would give it to T.J. Shope for the presenting the sanctuary bill. I think he deserves kudos for that, and people should support him for Senate too.
So that's your pick.
Yes.
Sarah, do you have a pick?
I would say Charles McGee, just because I think it's really cool to, be alive through that and bring that culture into the new year and stuff.
Yeah,
really cool.
it's very cool. 100 years old. And then, we should mention Kirk Douglas passed away yesterday, right? He was 103. And it's just, we have more people living longer and longer.
Yes, I hope to follow in those footsteps.
Yeah, you probably are, yeah. I like all of them. That's really, really hard to pick. I want to say POTUS, and man, to me it's a tie for all three of them. So I'm not going to be the tiebreaker. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say POTUS so we can have a three-way tie.
And I think POTUS winning
and Rush is good too.
I think POTUS being acquitted is going to help him even more on his election, because it clears the water. He's able to say that it was a sham charges, sham, when they were charging him with Russian collusion, and sham on this phone call that he has every right as a president to make. And when people say that no, that was you shouldn't be talking. He's the president of the United States. He has to talk to world leaders, and he has to make clear to them that corruption isn't gonna we're not gonna stand for corruption. It's the law, especially with Ukraine. It's the law. He has to, before we give him money, he has to let them know that corruption is not gonna be tolerated. Now, just so happens that Biden's son was in the line of fire there. So what? Biden was running against him.
And Biden wasn't secret about it. We've got him on video talking about it.
That's right.
They were criticizing POTUS.
How many times did Obama talk and promise the Russians, after I get elected?
Oh, after I get elected.
You're gonna get
Had a mic drop on that, yeah.
You're gonna get you get more things. They do it all the time, and I don't think so many people should be listening to his phone call. He's got, I don't know how many people tune into the phone call when he's talking to a world leader.
Well, what's
I
great
never
about
thought
our
about
president
it
is, when you ask him something, he doesn't care. He puts it all out there. Okay, I'll give you the transcript. Okay, here, and he's just so blunt and everything, and that's what I like about him. I think it's the business aspect of him. Okay, fine. Here, you want the information? We'll give you the information. I was hearing on the radio today, and he's being criticized because he had all those military people, and he gives a Tuskegee Airmen, and he never served in the military. And then I was agreeing with a talk show host who was saying, it's been a long time since we've had a president who actually served in the military. And guess what? And I'm driving and I'm talking. He's the commander-in-chief. The president is the commander-in-chief.
We elected him. We elected him to deal with other leaders. If he's afraid of other leaders, afraid to talk, then he doesn't need to be president. He needs to let them know that we're not going to stand for all this chicanery that's been going on over the years.
Chicanery.
This has been going on for a lot of years. A lot of people have been greasing their palms, I guess, with money from Ukraine. And it goes back to the Kerrys, the Pelosi, all of them. They're like, okay, we're going to do this, but, and we give them billions of dollars, and some of that goes back to them in form of their kids. Well, hire my kid to do this, and hire my kid to do this. Well, the money goes right back to their family.
And George, wasn't it cool too? They had the president of Venezuela.
Oh, I thought it was so.
That was awesome.
So awesome.
Even Nancy stood up for that.
And he didn't talk about the impeachment. He just talked about the people, and he talked about what he had done for this country. What the administration has done, his accomplishments.
And boy, were there a lot. Sarah, if you get a chance, try to watch at least a part of it, because it was a very good speech. It was very well done.
And it was, I think he did it with class, because he could have just talked about the impeachment and made Nancy look like a dork, but he didn't. And
the president also has gotten criticized because when he comes on board, I watched that clip over and over again, and he hands the speech, because what happens is his speech, he gives a copy of the speech to the speaker.
And the vice president.
And so when he did that,
he just turned right around.
It looks like he turned his gaze to the vice president, and she extended her hand. So if you see it, you think, oh, he snubbed her. Maybe he did. He's saying, I heard on Trish Reagan, she said that she asked the president, he says, I really didn't see her. And if I see the video, he didn't see her do
that. Yeah, because he gives her him, and he turns this way. His mind is focused on his speech. If she reached her hand out, and she did, but his back was already towards the people. So they're making a big deal out of nothing, and that's the way the Dems do. They make a big deal out of nothing.
Well, and it was amazing. We're living in such historical times. We're so glad that we're doing our Chips and Salsa show, and one of the main reasons we exist is we're busting the myth that just because you're brown doesn't mean you're a Democrat. Former Democrats were now Republicans.
They asked her, would she welcome him back to the House for the next State of the Union? And she says, well, he's not going to be president. We're going to have another president.
And how do we know she's going to be there?
She may not be there. That's right, because if we take over the House,
she may not be there.
She might not be the House.
She's going to be 80 years old this year, I saw. I think it's her birthday.
How about Joe Biden said he was an old man, telling people he's an old man.
Oh,
I'm an old man. I need a good vice president.
he's 77, I
Yeah,
think.
he's one of the older, the oldest, and you can tell the way he talks. And that's so weird because Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, is in his 70s and his mind is like that.
He's amazing. And you know what else I was noticing this. I was watching him on TV do his speech, another today of his reactions to the impeachment. And I was telling my boss, you know, most presidents, it doesn't matter how old you are. After 4 years, you're worn out, man. That is a job. So you look older, at least 4 years older. He looks the same to me. He hasn't aged, I think, at all.
Well, Nancy's,
Do you think?
Nancy Pelosi said he's on drugs or something. I don't
She's
think
had
so.
all this work done and stuff.
She's-
She looks good for
She's the
being
one that's
80.
on drugs.
George, it's time to end the show. Can you believe it?
I know. It's like there's that 6 o'clock rolling around.
Super Sarah, thank you so much. Great job.
You're welcome.
Thanks for participating.
We want to thank
You're a
our
great part of the show.
And we want to thank Dr. Kelly Ward for allowing us to do our show here.
Thank you,
in
Chairman.
the People's House, Chairman Dr. Kelly Ward.
Thank you, Secret Sonia.
And Secret Sonia that works in the background for our YouTube. Super Sarah, who's here diligently helping out with our with everything.
She's our super intern,
She's
man.
our super intern.
And we're gonna start having her come be here behind the camera or in front of the camera rather, and get her opinion because she's a Zoomer. I want to thank the Chipsters. Thanks for tuning in. Tune into our Tuesday edition at 5 p.m. You can go to Central City Radio, Talk Central Phoenix, and we'll share it also. Please spread the word about this. See you out there in political land. Anything else, George, before we sign off?
But a lot of things coming up. This is a fantastic year, and you should be proud to be a Republican this year.
Right on. So guac on, and we'll see you next week. Thanks so much. Alice Lara, Don Jorge.
Don Jorge.
Thank you, Miss Sarita. Poor TJ had to send. You see him climb in here.